Hello, my name is Michael Tannen. I'm just going to go ahead and get a seat right here. I'm going to be your therapist for today. Um, Before we start off, I'd like to get to know a little bit about you, especially starting with your name. Oh, all right. Well, if you really want to get right on into it, let's go on ahead and get into it. What what brings you in? Why are you here to talk with me? What are you sad, depressed, angry? All of them. All right. So you feel hopeless a lot. All right. Well, that can happen from time to time. Absolutely. Well, I don't want you to feel like you're abnormal in any way. Um, you haven't gotten into the specifics of why you feel this way or why you at least think you feel this way. But you know, the wording that you're choosing, it's kind of pointing towards a scenario, I think, where something has happened and you're blaming yourself for it. Am I correct? All right. What do you think happened? How long ago was that when he did that? 7 years. Wow, that's been quite a while. Um, hmm. Well, I'm sorry, a little distracted. We normally don't have planes flying over at this time. I don't understand what's going on. Yeah, well, you're probably right. That does sound more like a helicopter now that you've said it. But at any rate, I've not ever heard one around this time. Yes, absolutely. It's a little distracting. Well, I'll let you get back to explain this to me. So, 7 years ago, he made an attempt on his life. And how is this your fault? Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, no. I do not think that it's silly. Not one bit. Absolutely. And I can see why you would feel that you were the one who set off the chain of actions that led to that event. Have you spoken to him recently? And does he blame you? Well, okay. Absolutely. No, that's perfectly fine. We are here for you to communicate with me. Do not feel as if you're interrupting me. That's perfectly fine. I'm just a horrible judge at when someone quits talking. All right. Okay, it's very interesting. We'll write that down. How old were you? All right. Well, you got through that pretty fast. Um, I want to give you a scenario. Um, but before I do that, I just want to tell you the whole point of this scenario is that you can't blame yourself for every outcome. The only way that you would have been at blame in this situation is if somehow you had the precognitive abilities to know what the future would bring. And if you knew that your actions would lead to his actions, that and you still did it, that's the only way that you could blame yourself. So in the scenario I'd like to give you is imagine a man who has two ways to go to work. He has the short way where he could immediately pretty much get to work. It's a straight stretch. All he's got to do is go to the end of his driveway and make a right, and a few red lights, and he's at work. But he can also take the long way to work, where he takes a left and follows the course of actions going through a farm. A farm, mind you, that he enjoys looking at because the smells of a farm remind him of as when he was growing up. And say every day though, he pretty much takes the same route, the shortest route. He turns right. But then one day, he decides he's not feeling all that great. Taking the same road every single day has worn him down, and he's got time to spare before he's got to be at work. So he decides to take the long way, and he turns left. And he's relaxing when he's on that drive, and he smells the farmland, smells the cattle, the earthy smell of farms. He comes to a stop sign. He applies the brake and he's sitting there. When suddenly a man hits him from behind. Now, the accident on his part is not that bad. And the driver of the other vehicle was drunk and unfortunately had a passenger who was not buckled up and was fatally injured. Now, is it our business person? Is it his fault that the accident happened? Exactly, it's not his fault. He didn't know that that guy was going to be driving drunk so early in the morning. But that driver's still going to blame him. He's going to say things like, if you weren't on that road, my friend would still be alive. I could have just went on through the stop sign like normal and got home. But you were there. And therein lies the similarities. You are the businessman. You had no idea what would come out of your actions of trying to do something in your interest. And now you have someone who thinks that all of your actions created all this problem for them, when there are all kinds of other factors that were probably involved. You were very young at the time. He could have been upset with his parents, upset about grades. Many things could have been affecting him. Yet, he wants to blame this one event on you, and as you said yourself as well. And it's completely logical to think that cause and effect. That's how humans have stayed alive for so long, is we've been able to make connections between events and outcomes. It's hardwired into you. It's hardwired into me. But the benefit that we have is that we can tell when it is our fault, when things like this happen. It's not your fault. You really need to learn to forgive yourself. Exactly. Well, forgiveness is hard on all levels, and I think, honestly, the hardest person to forgive is yourself, and especially living with this for 7 years. It will be a very difficult road, but it's one I think that you're up for the challenge. You're already making the first step here today by coming and talking to me. I mean, this isn't even really the first step. The first step is when you made the call and set up the appointment. Your second step is when you showed up. Third step is when you were out there waiting in the waiting room. This is like the fourth or fifth step. When you view it this way, you are you're very much on your way to forgiving yourself. I have some booklets here. There we go. Actually, just got this one. And if you look through it here, this has some exercises. Now, these exercises will help you on breaking things down and really just examining a situation and seeing where you sit in the situation. Because a lot of the times, our brain automatically puts us in the center of all problems. When we're not. We're not the center of all problems. And sometimes we really just have to focus and point it out to ourselves. Hey, I had no control over this event. Exactly. And this is like a little elementary school workbook. There's some lessons, and then there's some questions at the end. And some of these, like I believe right back here, yeah, you write down basically what you've already told me, but you try to write it from a different perspective. A perspective where you are innocent. Because from my position, you're innocent. You've done nothing wrong. You were just doing what was in your best interest, and just so happens your friend has decided to do this to himself, and now here you are, all these years later, being blamed by him and blaming yourself. Exactly. I'm going to go ahead and set this over here for you. You take this. Yeah. And, oh, no, I'm not sending you out now, not unless you're ready to go. Well, there is a few other things that I feel that you need to focus on as well, other than the forgiveness. If it's been 7 years and he is still blaming it on you, and he has no willingness to let go of the past, he is anchoring you to that event. And sometimes it's hard to let people go. And I have a strong feeling that you have remained his friend out of obligation rather than finding enjoyment in the friendship. And much like you did all those years ago, when you're going to have to learn to cut the ties. Because if someone's not willing to forgive, and it's nothing that you've done, then it's time to move on. Because people like that are only going to hold you back. Exactly. You are not to blame for the situation. There are other factors, whether he wants to admit those or not. And even if there are no other external factors, there may be factors within him. Exactly. I have a strong feeling that when you meet the doctor, that he's going to see that you understand. Yes. I'm sure that perhaps all you really need is this conversation here, maybe a few more. Yes. Well, sometimes all we need is a fresh or different perspective on events, because we can be too close to them. And in being too close to the events, we get consumed by them. And while being consumed by them, it makes it very difficult to pull ourselves up and view it from a different angle. Exactly. Exactly. I'm very glad that I can help you with that. Yes. Well, um, okay. Well, if you feel like you need to speak to the doctor, we can set you up an appointment. I personally think that um, you don't need to worry about medication. Um, just basically focus on trying to look at things from a different perspective, and have someone to talk to. If that's coming back here and talking to me, that's fine. If that's finding a friend that you can, communicate your grievances with, that's fine. You know, maybe even keeping a journal, because sometimes when we tell people um, what's bothering us, the act of telling it through a story allows us to step back for a moment. The act of writing it down allows us to do the same. Exactly. Well, I don't want to hold you up if you have someplace to be. Um, I'm glad that we could get you in here at this time. Well, normally we're backed up, but as you can see out in the waiting room, it was a little slow today. Well, like I said, if you feel like you need to speak to the doctor, I can put it in my notes here. Or if you feel like you need to come back in, speak to me at another time. On your way out, you can stop by the scheduling desk there and they can give you another appointment. Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, you can fix up an appointment for next week or 2 weeks from now. And in fact, um, well, I'm out of them right now. They should, if you ask for them up there, they'll write down my office number on the back of your schedule card. And if you feel as if everything is becoming overwhelming, just give me a call. I'm sorry. I normally have business cards in here, but I've apparently given them all out. Yeah. Well, it was nice meeting you, and I guess I'll talk to you when you come back in. I really want you to focus on what we talked about. Okay. Perfectly fine to try to better your own life. You can't just go through your life worried that your actions are going to affect someone just because you decided, you know, that the relationship that you were in wasn't working. No one should be punished for making a left turn when they could have made a right. We're all not psychic. Well, I'm not saying some of us are, but there's no evidence to that. But yeah, all right. Oh, absolutely. Like I said, just ask for the number out there. They'll write it down on the back of your scheduling card. And if you feel like you need to speak to the doctor, you can let me know. You can call, let me know. Or you can call the number on your scheduling card. That'll get you back with the scheduling office and they'll get you in here. In fact, I'll put down in your file here that you might call back in for an appointment. That way, the doctor can go ahead and read what I have written down of you. If you are going to see him, I would like for you to come back in so we can have a little bit more time, at a time that you do have more time, to discuss other things, so we can get more of a profile on you. Absolutely. Oh, that's perfect. All right. Well, you have a good day.